I don't ask if it'll go viral. I can figure out how to make it viral. I have analyzed thousands of shorts. I've analyzed all of Mr. Beast shorts, all of Ryan Trahan's shorts, and what I found was I think you can make a video about anything. It's just adding every second counts on a short. Like every single second. Whatever you say you're gonna do, you end it right after you do it. Short form content is not the same across platforms. I noticed that YouTube likes retention doesn't matter as much as people think it does. It's just adding story and a twist, especially with shorts, since like no one's actually having to click on your video. I think you can make a video about anything. You can make video about paint drying, and you can make it entertaining if there's a story around it and if the viewer is invested. I think my content is very personality based, I'd say. So for me, making it personal makes them invested. I'll give you an example. I actually did this in a long form. In the video, I cooked for strangers to make money. Okay, very baseline. Why should they care? Well, my kitchen is broken and I want to raise money for it by cooking and making money. You know, it's ironic. Like my kitchen's broken, so in order to fix it, I have to cook to make money. So I think that's what makes people invested, having like some sort of personal why or goal. And irony too is pretty funny. When I think of good, it's very subjective. So there's no direct definition as to what makes a good short because everyone has different tastes. But I can say what makes a good short to me. A good short is one that has a strong hook. The way I like to explain it is if it could be used as a title and thumbnail on a long form and like it will still get clicks, then it'll work for a short. You know, so the hook needs to be very visual. You need to understand it without even listening to it. And it needs to be so simple, like so simply said, like you said, explained to a 5-year-old. So I think that's one of the key things. And then also just a story that just, you know, pushes you through. And not only do you watch to the end, but you rewatch it again. So that's what makes a good short to me. It's very funny because I like to see shorts like as like, even though I don't do that many long forms, I like to see shorts as if I'm making like a long form. So like I will sketch like almost as if it's title and thumbnails. So like I have my iPad and I draw like what would I visually want it to look like? What are different ways if I was to put it together, what would that look like? So when I'm making a hook, I just like keep drawing and sketching or like even just imagining until something just clicks. So the first thing is the visual. Easily. The first thing is the visual, and then I figure out how I'm going to accompany that visual. And what I'm saying, I try to make it as concise as possible, and then I'll put it in a readability checker and then make sure that it's actually like understandable to at least like 5th grade or under. I don't know. I don't pay for it. It's readabilityformulas.com is the one I use. Yeah. So I have analyzed thousands of shorts, as you may know. So I've like scraped, you know, the scripts of a bunch of shorts, and I've put it in this readability checker. And I've noticed that the most popular shorts, especially Mr. Beast, you know, Mr. Beast is one of the best shorts creators, and his is like in 1st grade level. So I just basically like after scraping everything, that's when I realized like 5th grade and under is like about the range you want to be at. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's just simply put. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. The readability can sometimes be off, but it was just like at a range. Cause I believe like Eric, for example, is like slightly higher. I don't know the exact number on the top of my head, but I just noticed that like a good in between is 5th grade. But I will say the problem with the readability is, especially like with content like mine, you can change the readability from 5th grade to like 8th grade by simply using the word business, which is why I try to avoid things like that. Or if you use the word finance, or if you use like, for example, profit, instead of saying profit, I just explain the definition of profit every time I talk about it. So it's so funny because like basically the way I do it is, you know, when you go onto YouTube and you open up a short, it sends you like, even on desktop, it sends you to like this shorts page or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you change the URL to like watch $V equals then the URL, then it will send you to like the actual YouTube page. And then you can just click transcript, copy and paste that transcript. And then I just check the readability, but I also like check other things. You know, I just analyze why these shorts are working. I've also like deeply analyzed all of my videos. And I think that's where you learn the most. Everyone has different audiences. So what works for Mr. Beast might not work for me, right? So what I did is like, I did my own little experiment. Like when I knew I wanted to get into shorts, I told myself I was going to upload every day for as long as possible. And I think I only got like a week or two in. I didn't get that far, but the goal was essentially to upload as much as possible. Quantity is what makes quality. When I was doing that quantity, I would analyze my retention graph. And this is just like one example I'll just pull out for you. So there was one video after 5 days, I got, I think it was like 50,000 views in 5 days, right? Which on average, I usually get like 1 million. So I was not happy with the performance. And I pulled up the retention graph and I noticed on the last second, it was a huge dip. It was 70%. 1 second later, it was 45%, like a 25% drop in 1 second. And the retention was 83%. So what I did was I went to YouTube Studio. I trimmed off that 1 second. YouTube removed this feature, by the way. YouTube, please bring it back. But just by removing that 1 second at the end, it went from 83% to 88%. And the video went flying. And that's why like every second counts on a short, like every single second. Because when you think about it, let's say you have a 30-second short, right? If you lose 1 second, that's already 97%. That's 3 percentages. If you lose 2 seconds, that's 6%. So when you think about it, I'm sure it's like, you're not just losing 1 second, you're losing double or even triple because that 1 second accumulates to 2 or 3% of the video. Yes, and I'll explain why. The average scroll through rate, which is basically like on YouTube Shorts, you can see what percentage of people viewed versus swiped away. And I like to call it scroll through rate. But the average scroll through rate is like 70%. You want to get that as high as possible. My personal scroll through rate is like 85%. So my average scroll through rate is 85%, but my average retention is 95%. If only 85% of people are watching it, how does the retention subtly get to 95%? It's because they're rewatching it. So to have that like 90+% retention, which is like, in my opinion, the bare minimum, like for a short to blow up, you need them to watch it again. For the most part, yes, I will say it depends on the amount of impressions because my videos average like 95% retention, but we're talking like that's on 10 million views. So that's like, it's very difficult to do.
Right.
So I have this series where I remake fast food items for $1. Instead of like showing my face, I show the location. I show the front of the location because obviously like more people know the fast food location than they know me. The easiest way to describe like the video just visually is by showing the fast food item in front of the location. So usually it's so funny. I would have the logo in the middle and then I'll put the food item here. And then right in the middle, I'll put like $1 burrito, $1 sandwich, $1 burger. So then it's like you perfectly see it. It's always perfectly aligned. And it really helps for bingeability too, because it's actually a playlist. And I get a lot of views from people like just like watching it down and they just know it's me every time they see that framing. It's definitely like trial and error. At first, I started by, I guess you can say stealing like an artist, because that's how, to me, I believe that's how you learn.
Sure.
You obviously want to find your own style. But I started by like copying other people's hooks. And then I was looking at like which percentage is the highest. So it sounds so funny. So like a strategy, a technique is like, what would it sound like if this YouTuber made this video? And then I would make a bunch of hooks depending on that. So I'll have like a list of like the big 10. And then I'll just like, have a bunch of different hooks, pick which one's my favorite, see the percentage, and then assess what's the best hook. Then I made my own twist into it. Okay, there's a lot of ways. So one way is I just watch YouTube and then see what I personally, like want to recreate and like twist. Or it's like, what video do I want to watch? Or as funny as it sounds, I also use AI. AI has some pretty good ideas. But the best ideas, at least for me personally, they come from just living it and then thinking this is a video idea. So let me explain that. So one of my most popular videos is me making a garden. As funny as it sounds, because that sounds like it would get no views, yet it has like 30 million views. Like, so
that's a ton.
There's so many ideas where something like this happened. One day I was eating ratatouille because it's like one of my favorite foods, right? And I'm like, I can't believe like it costs $20 to cook. And I'm like, but can't I just make a garden and then have unlimited ratatouille for like $5? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a video idea. So I'm like, now I got to make a garden And then I'm going to grow vegetables to have infinite ratatouille because it's my favorite food. So like, that's where the story came from. Or like another time, my grandma, it was so funny. She got like, I think it was like laundry detergent in the mail or whatever, like free laundry detergent. And I'm like, how'd you get free laundry detergent? That's like $30. And she was like, oh, I called the company and I complained to them. I told them that they suck and they sent me free laundry detergent. And I'm like, that's a video. I got to do that. So it's like, you know, just things that I live. And then I'm like, that needs to be a video. Those are my best ideas. So I would say I narrow it down to like let's say we have 100 because 100 is like an easier number to work with. So let's say we have 100 ideas. I'll narrow it down to like 25 to 50. That's usually just based on like, the first thing I ask myself is, do I want to make it? I don't ask if it'll go viral. I can figure out how to make it viral if I really want to make it. So first I tell myself, do I actually want to make this? Is this actually logistically possible? And then it's like, is the hook good? Is the mechanism good? Are people going to rewatch this? Then that's when I look at like, where's the virality aspect in this? Then I'll bring it down to 25. Then from there, I'll send it to my video editor, who's also like, he's really involved in the channel. So he's not just a video editor, he's also like a strategist because, you know, he knows a lot about YouTube. And I'll send it to him and he'll bring my 25 to like 10. And he'll go in and tell me like even further if it actually seems viral, if he thinks it's shareable. But for him, like, he's really good at telling if a concept is simple yet complex, if they're going to be pushed till the end. So like a good example is Mr. Beast, the red circle. Like, is it like last to leave circle wins $500,000? The mechanism is the circle is constantly closing. So the viewers are watching till the end. So if it was just like the circle wasn't closing, I don't know if anyone would watch to the end. They'll just skip to the end, probably. I think this is the easiest one that anyone can apply. It's basically saying there's 3 steps or there's 3 things we need to do because it's very easy to follow. And you just show the list of 3. So now the viewer knows that, oh, we're getting closer to the video. Like they actually have a good expectation, which is probably one of the biggest things. I think that's why my videos like go viral. It's because people have a good expectation of what they're going to watch and what's actually going to be at the end. I try to follow those expectations, but then have a twist. For example, I gave my mom a $5 Mother's Day gift. The hook was, my mom's never had a Mother's Day gift, so I'm going to change that and buy her the best present with $5. It was the why making them care in the hook. My mom's never had a Mother's Day gift, so I'm going to change that. Then the expectation is, so I'm going to surprise her with a gift for $5. And on screen, I'm showing me giving her the gift, but you're going to see that till the end. So it's like, it's the cold open, and then we cut to the video. So the expectation is by the end of the video, you're going to see me give her a gift. So then I follow through, make the gift, and then I surprise her. Now I gave them the expectation. I closed the loop that I'm going to surprise her with this gift. But the twist was she ended up dropping the gift. It broke. And then she's like, you're the best daughter I've ever had. I'm like, I'm your only one. Video ends. I gave that expectation that I'm going to gift her, and then we just twisted it at the end. Exactly. Yes, correct. So for me, for my personal channel, like I said, like there's no specific number. I think everyone just has to check out their analytics. But for me, I noticed if a short is less than 30 seconds, it has to have over 100% retention or else it's not going to take off. Wow. So that's why I like to make it slightly longer. But too long is too long for my audience since I do have a very young. Yeah, so it's usually whatever happens in the edit. But what I do check is before I film the video, I will do a rough script, even if it's not even what happens in the video. Like I'll just roughly, do it and I can just change it later. And from there, I'll have a sense of how long it is just from the word count. But I don't necessarily force it. I just let it free flow, like you said, in the edit. But I do have a rough idea of the word count and my hooks and foreshadow. I always do that in every video. I do a hook and then I foreshadow, which is 2 lines. And that is usually 3 seconds or less. Yes, I always have spoken time to foreshadowing it. Like, it doesn't matter what video idea it is. Like, let me just pull up like a random idea. Like, I'm going to the beach, right? And then it's like, why would someone watch? So that's the hook. I'm going to the beach. And what's the foreshadow? I'm going to the beach and I'm going to surprise someone with $100 at the end of the video. It could literally be with anything. It just needs to have some sort of expectation. It will usually be hook, which is really short. Then I'll foreshadow what's going to be at the end. Then I have to smoothly transition. So I used to have like a lot of breaks because you want to give people time to breathe, right? Because you don't want to be like, I'm going to be doing this and this and this and this and the video's over. They're not going to understand anything. So you want a pacing break without the pacing actually breaking. Let me explain what I mean by that. I did this in my recent video. So it was like, McDonald's banned this item, hook. So I'm going to make it at home, then convince them to put it back on the menu. That's the foreshadow. And then at first I wrote, let's get started. But that breaks pace. So instead of saying, let's get started, I said, so I cooked illegally, and that just flows better. So I don't want to give because I already gave 2 crucial pieces of detail. So if I give any more detail, they're just going to forget about that, like primacy, recency. I can get into that. So it's like, they're going to forget what I just said. So we need a pacing break without the pacing actually breaking, if that makes sense. It's just like problem, solution, or but therefore storytelling. Basically, but therefore storytelling, simply put, is just lots of change in the story. So stories can't be stories without change. For example, I went on a walk, then it started raining, then I went back home. It was much more boring than if it was like, I went on a walk, but it started raining. Therefore, I started running back home, and it was raining all over me. But good thing I had a handy umbrella while I was on my way back. Therefore, I got home. Like, it's the exact same story, but it just sounds so much more intriguing when you have but,
yeah,
and then
so good.
or but therefore.